Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to the Swindon Town Summer Deep Dive here on AFL Debate. Delighted to be joined by Ben Nicholls at Pyman80 from the Fools Rush In podcast. Ben, what's your feeling on where Swindon Town are at as a club right now?
On the field, actually okay at the minute. I think they've been quite active during the summer, which is quite rare for us. We've made 5 new signings and 3 contract extensions so far, which is usually it's pretty unheard of. I think that's kind of the Holloway effect at the minute, as we try and keep on the momentum of last season and spill on to next. So yeah, it's looking promising at the moment, though you can't take anything for granted these days.
Yeah, what do you think it's been that's allowed Ian Holloway to sort of shake this club up from the difficulties it had under Mark Kennedy, or the team certainly? Was it his sort of passion and man management qualities?
It's Well, it was a number of things. One, Mark Kennedy clearly wasn't getting the best out of this squad. The squad was, and I always thought had better potential than it was performing for the first half of the season, and he's just realised that potential. Also, he's managed to block out all the noise from outside boardroom level. He's managed to lock that in. Now, he's had experiences at working clubs at Grimsby to Blackpool with reasonable amount of success at each club. Not so at Grimsby, but where it has been a sort of a back down the hatches, and there has been unease with the fan base, and he's guided the club through it, and he's blocked out all the noise. He's got a us and them and unity and a good team built together, and I think the players respect him and enjoy playing for him. And I think that is ongoing with the amount of players we've retained over this summer so far, and hopefully we'll take on to next season.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. I mean, I think we have to start with Swindon Town in terms of the top of the club. It's a really tough situation at the moment. It seems like, I'd been hoping that Clem Morfuni would sell. I think a lot of the Spirit of 69 groups would be hoping that. As the summer drags on, that's looking increasingly less likely. So that must be tough for the fan base.
But yeah, there was rumours and murmurs going around that there was movement behind the scenes, and there may well have been. But if anything, those discussions have stalled. We've had nothing out from the club, nothing official, nothing from anywhere really. The fact that the Clen is open to selling actually is probably a bonus. The recent vote that the fans made, if anyone's unaware, Swindon are proposing to put boxes in the the Don Rogers stand, which is one of our main stands. And there was a vote because the ground is a joint venture. It's half owned by the club, it's half owned by the fan base, and the trust. People of the trust got to vote on it. It needed a 75% approval for plans to go ahead and start building. And there was a 50-50 split with the fan base to go ahead. So the fans have gone no. Pretty much as a vote of no confidence, as we don't trust this board to do a decent job of installing, making any sort of ground improvements at all. Obviously, there's the worry of where the money's coming from. Clem says he was going to put the money in himself, but that's also a bit vague. Plus, we already owe him a substantial amount of money as it is. And there's the complete lack of trust between the fan base and the ownership right now. We've been doing all right of the last few months, but that's kind of in spite of rather than because of. And there's been protests going on throughout the whole of last season. They will continue. Obviously, they've died down since Ian Holloway's taken over, and we've actually been doing all right on the field. But there's still, recently we've missed the filings of our budget this year, so they were handed a I forgot what the actual name is at all, but it was anyway, they're misfiling on the budgets on Company's House. Strike off, that's the word. So we've had a strike off notice, and that goes with the same strike off notice that happened last year. It's just sloppy. The ground itself is falling apart. They've done very little to actually improve the ground. There's actually contempt for the fan base itself. It's not great. I think one thing Clem has done, which has helped Holloway a little bit, as in, he's gone, right, this is your budget. I won't touch it. I won't play with it. I won't sell anyone from under your feet. Whoever comes in, if you want that budget bigger, sell someone. But this is what you got, work with it. And I think Ian Holloway's quite happy to work with that. As long as he's left alone, we might be all right. But yeah, there's, it's still not great behind the scenes, and there's still much unrest. And I don't think it will end until we won't really, really recover until there's movement upstairs.
Of course. One thing I'd be really curious about, Ben, is I think you, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're part of Spirit of 69 group.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fan. I'm not a founding member or anything like that. I'm not part of the group, but I know the people that do it, and I support the group. Right. So, but I'm not in the members.
I understand what you're not in the inner circle, as it were.
No, not.
But one thing I'm kind of quite curious about is there's an emergence of a new group, sort of supporters group, and sometimes when that happens, it's because the supporters trust maybe isn't serving the full purpose that fans would necessarily like, because in most cases, if you're absolutely delighted with the work that the supporters trust are being, and they feel like they speak for the majority of the fan base, there probably wouldn't be much momentum for an additional group to come into the conversation. Now, I'm not saying that's definitely the case, but it's something that I'm kind of curious about, that in terms of the reasoning for a new group in terms of fans voicing their frustrations.
Well, the trust have been slightly compromised because of the joint venture. They're in business with the club itself. They have called upon for Clem Morfuni to sell the club. 12 months ago, they wrote quite a stern letter because it was our worst finish that the club's experienced in its history under Clem's watch, and it was fairly stern on the stance of the fans and what he needs to do. And then a few months later, they says, well, very little is done to achieve what we've asked for when we were bottom of League Two. And they themselves called out for Clem Morfuni to sell the club. And they were full support of the Spirit of 69 movement. Now, the Spirit of the 69 movement was just started. I think what the straw that broke the camel's back to say was, the sloppiness. It was, I think it would have been the anniversary of us winning the League Cup in 1969. And in the programme, they stuck a picture of QPR celebrating winning the cup. It's just little sloppy things like that. And it's just really not good. It's just really disrespectful. And I thought that was the final straw, that I think the founders just went, right, we're going to do something here. It's just shit. So, they moved on with that. And that was a reasonable success. I think for the Grimsby game, there was the march, and I think that had about 600-700 people marching through town. Obviously, you've seen the orange hats and the movement, and there's been other things since then. And then, hand in hand went with the improvement in our form. And unfortunately, the fan base has been a little bit more split with this, because there's fans that just kind of don't want to rock the boat at the moment because things are going quite well. But there's also there's the reality of, we're doing well at this time, and at this moment things seem okay, but in 6 months' time, will they be? You can't guarantee this. I'm quite excited for the start of the season, but I can't really be excited because of who we got in charge.
Yeah.
It's just we might have a good season, but it could go horribly wrong. We don't know.
I think just going back to the trust thing, I think it's always difficult, isn't it, when they've got the supporters trust have a stake in the football club, because on the one hand you've got more influence possibly at boardroom level in terms of the ability to reflect the voices of the fans, but on the other hand you're also more limited in how vocal you can be in your opposition to the club if you actually have a stake in them. So it's a possibly an awkward position for the trust, do you think?
Very, extremely, because obviously they have monthly meetings with the club when they do they're in constant dialogue with them. They are a bit compromised. I think if you go back in time, you probably wouldn't do this sort of thing, because you need the trust to be an independent party. And I thought probably it's quite a wise move when you get into bed with the people that are supposed to voice and criticize and be your sort of a critical friend. I think they wanted to be originally, but they have worded their concerns. They have stood against the club, but I think it does need an independent party just to really voice what the fans think. And there is a section of the fan base, in saying this, that support Clem. And there still is now. There was a 50-50 split with the literally 50-50 split with the vote. And there are fans that just going, well, we've actually got a lot better. And, you know, there's been nothing major's gone. We've not had a points deduction. He's still learning. And then there's people that support him. So there is a divide in the fan base, but it's... in my point of view, we're not going to get better until properly better. We're not going to heal and be where we belong, which is towards the top end of League One, in my opinion, until we are run properly. And this club is a big club for the level. The catchment area is huge. The fan base is decent. There's no reason why it can't sustain itself quite happily in that sort of area and run properly. It should be there.
Yeah, well, let's hope that's the case. How confident do you feel that this turnaround under Ian Holloway can be sustainable? Because as much as I'm really excited by the form that you've enjoyed under him, which has been some of the best in the division in the second half of the season, I'm also mindful that if you look at Ian Holloway's career over the last 6 years, say, he's had one stint, and that was at Grimsby, where you wouldn't say he's necessarily hugely popular. And other than that, he hasn't been particularly busy. And another case that I would sort of bring up would be Nigel Adkins when he was at Tranmere. He had a sort of an initial impact in the 23-24 season because he was able to motivate people and get them to run through brick walls for him. But then, because there didn't seem to be a huge amount of technical detail behind his work the following season, a lot of the positivity that had been really refreshing in his first season actually fell flat a little bit. And one sort of concern I have about Ian Holloway is that, yes, he's had this initial impact and come on, we can do it, and lifting everyone, and he's brilliant at that. I can't think of anyone better. But when it comes to the technical detail, his best years in football were 15 years ago, and I'm not sure he's necessarily going to be up to the same technical standard as other coaches in the division.
Well, that's the question, isn't it, Ian Holloway? That's the thing that remains to be seen with, and there's still questions over him because of his quite clearly horrific time at Grimsby, and he's not actually successfully done it at a club for a little while. You know, he's had a lot of success. He 2 promotions to the Premier League, other promotions with the Championship, and so he's done well. But that was another generation ago. It's technically sided. I think he's not a manager that sticks to one formation and that's it. He has 2 or 3 in the bag, and he likes to regularly change even during the match. You know, he'll go 4-3-3, he'll go 3-2-3-1, and lots of different things that he'll just play about as the game goes. He likes to go with different sort of plans into a match of football. He's quite attacking. Last year he did have nothing to lose. He did keep the momentum going even when we looked like we were when it looks like we were safe. There was always the thought that we might drop off a little bit after that because you got nothing to play for, but he just did keep it going, which was quite good. But the proof's in the pudding overall with Ian Holloway. He's got the fans on board. The fans adore him. We've so far kept all our stars. I think only really Offerbore that looks likely to leave at the minute. Most people are under contract. The signings that have gone in so far have, James Ball and Darren Aldecker from Chesterfield.
Yeah,
2 very good. Two players that enjoy success at previous clubs, very well thought of by the fan base. So I think that's quite a reasonable start in the transfer market, and the players he's got in. Extending Connor Ripley was a fantastic. I think so because he
extending him by making him even taller.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, no, his contract ran out, and towards the end of the season, he's going, well, I live in Preston. I've got 5 kids who also live in Preston. We'll have to sit down and wait and see. But he's been sold, and he's actually signed a 2-year deal.
Nice.
Which was good. I think for the press are reporting that Smith is expected to sign. Harry Smith's expected to sign an extension when he's back on holiday. Will Wright's Tenton that said it's not going anywhere. We know, obviously, this has remained to be seen because we're still in June. But if we can keep the core of the squad together, add to what we've got, which he didn't have at Grimsby, And I can't talk about the clubs in high leagues like Leicester's and all that. Really, it's another kettle of fish entirely. But at Grimsby, kind of best players did go. So we will see. We will see where he is and his tactical prowess, and whether he can still motivate a team in his second season rather than being a sort of tin hat emergency type of rescue job. We will see. I'm hopeful. As long as Clem doesn't do anything stupid, I think. I personally think we could have a good season, but I don't want to get too excited. So let's see how it goes.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Connor Ripley there. I think he's one of the best shot stoppers at this level. I think he has been for some time. I think there was a question mark, and I don't know both sides of the story here. That I think at Port Vale, Darren Moore might not have been overly enamoured with how he conducted himself, but maybe that was one of the reasons why you were able to bring him to
Absolutely.
To the county ground. But certainly no question, he's a fantastic shot stopper at this level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, he was surplus really at Port Vale, wasn't he? So he wasn't really needed. I think last January, Clem went, well, you've got a budget of nothing this January. If you want anyone in, you're going to have to sell someone. And I think our January business was fantastic. We got Tom Nicholls on loan from Mansfield, which we've now made permanent. He's playing more of a utility role, plays a lot deeper now, sort of a number 8 rather than a 10. And he's fitted in really well.
How do you handle the physical midfield battles, Ben, in terms of, because Tom Nicholls I would have always thought has been quite lightweight.
He's a terrier. He runs about the tackles and everything. He's a workhorse. He's surprising, because I generally thought we were signing him as a 9 when he went in. I didn't know he had that sort of capability, but he's a Holloway type player. He runs about and he's full blooded. And he's good pass. So the Tom Nicholls thing, I was pleasantly surprised. He's quite liked by the fan base, and he's only scored 2 goals and a couple of assists, in the 6 months he's been here. But his points per game is nearly 2. Right. So when he's playing, we do well. So he's popular with the fans. They did quite like him, and it was applauded that he was the first one in through the door, which was, I think, always going to happen because he was surplus. And I just mentioned the Connor Ripley thing as well. I think him and Darren Moore might have just had a clash of personalities, or Darren Moore just likes to think of going other ways. But I don't think he's settled in at Swindon. He's done nothing but saying how much he's loved it here and how much he loves Holloway. I think this is his chance. I don't know. I think he just wants to play football now, and he's making the effort.
Yeah, sometimes some managers don't work with another player, and sometimes football's like that, isn't it? So in looking at the defence, you've got Will Wright for this season. Is that the big player that you're looking to build around?
Will Wright. He's a Rolls Royce type player for the level, isn't he? So
I love how he carries the ball out from defence. And
if his actually was defending was as good as the other parts of his game, he'd be playing a lot higher level than he is right now. He does have the odd defensive slip up, but he's from dead balls. He takes all the corners, he takes the free kicks, he takes a really good free kick. He can ping apart. I think there's
almost like a League 2 Ronald Koeman.
Well, that kind of what he is really. He's that, and I think Holloway was hinting that playing him as sort of a false 6 when he actually plays a little bit further up. I mean, there was a mention of that Holloway in one of his rantings, but I think there is ideas of having him moving a little bit further up, maybe in front of the back 3 and a little bit, and have the others closing behind him. But he's really, really, really impressive on the ball. He's really good. Pick a pass. He scores goals. He's decent enough. And I wouldn't like him in a back 2, in a sort of central 2. But as a 3, he's really, really good. I do think we need some more defensive cover. I think that was our Achilles heel last year. We went the game to going, if you score 4, we'll score 5. which happened.
I mean, I've got the squad mapped out. I think I'm correct in saying this, Ben. Yeah, I've got Tanmise Sobowale, Will Wright, and Ryan Delaney as things stand being sort of first choice. But then you've got Ollie Clark as an alternative right centre half, Harrison Minturn, who I'm not sure has shown a huge amount. And then I think it's Sonny Hart, who came through the academy, as maybe another one. And then Mabete, who signed from Wolves. I'm not quite sure what level he's going to be at. So it definitely feels like at least one more senior defender could be required.
Yeah, I think Minturn actually had a broken side and started playing really well, and then just got injured and was out half the season, which is a shame. He's one of our own. He's good for the level. He's going to be. I think he's going to be quite comfortable in League Two, but I think he needs games under his belt. But he's quite young still. Mbete, again, he's an unknown quantity, signed from Wolves. He captained their under-20 team. He obviously comes with ringing endorsements how great he is, and Swindon have been tracking him for some time, but they all say that when we sign him. So we'll have to wait and see. But from what I read of him, he's a sort of natural leader, strong in the air, really strong in the tackle, quite old school centre back, but can be quite comfortable on the ball as well. So we'll have to wait and see on him. Delaney is injured quite a lot. When he's played and he's playing regular, you can see the class that he's got, but he missed half the season with injury. I wouldn't like to fully rely on him as being, as a squad player that comes in, yes, but I'd like others in there as well. Sobowale, he didn't play a lot towards the back end of last season, though, fully fit.
Well, he's the wing back. When Shrewsbury signed him, he was built as a wing back, and I think that's where he played there. And then, by the looks of things, he's played more as an outside centre half for you guys.
He has played quite a bit there. I don't think he though we do play wing backs, he was playing other players. Like Will Wright even played a few times on the right, and he stayed on the bench. It was the back end of last season. So I think he's one that Holloway might be looking to move on a little bit. We'll see what happens. Again, we're middle of June, aren't we? And Joel McGregor signed a contract extension. I think he's going to be his number one man on the right.
Right wing back, is that?
Yeah, right wing back. And he's a proper talent. He's 19 years old. He's already got 40, 50 plus league games behind his belt. He's very popular with the fans. He scores goals. He's strong in the tackle. He's quite well built for such a young lad. I think it was quite cool to sign him an extension, which is good. I think it looks like I'm going to lose Botan Amin, which is a shame, but we've kept him, so that's something. I think that's something we need to look on the right. See the left-hand side as well. We've let George Cox go, which I think he's injured a fair bit, and I think it cost quite a bit coming from the Dutch Prem.
Kirkman, what do you think? Yeah, he's the only left wing back I've got down at the moment. So
yeah, Kirkman as well. He was like a secret find, came from non-league, and occasionally you get these players that are actually quite good. But I think we need someone else on the left as well, just to give competition. I don't know if we're going to go in the low market for that or not, but we'll have to wait and see. But centre back, I think at least two needed, really, in my opinion.
Okay, so yeah, definitely left wing back spot's got to be a big priority as well. So central midfield, what did you make of Gavin Kilkenny's season last year? Because I was surprised when he dropped down to League Two, because I felt like he'd shown a lot of promise in the Championship. So did it look that way on the pitch?
Yeah, he's a good mover. I think in a struggling side, he sort of disappeared a little bit. I think he needs a good ball playing team. He moves the ball really quickly. He goes. I think the best way to describe him is another sort of Louis Reed, but doesn't quite score as many goals. He's a good passer, very clever, very intelligent. You can see him, before he receives, and when he's received the ball, he's constantly scanning and looking about for the next pass ahead. And I think he's important. I think Darren Aldiker from Colchester is a similar type of player to him. So I'll be interested. Chesterfield is a similar type player to him. So I'll be interested to see what actually does happen. Whether Aldiker is someone who's going to come in for Kilkenny, who's probably on a tidy packet. I don't know if someone we might look to move on because of Aldiker's arrival. I don't know, but I think the fans, he's one of the first names you put on the team sheet, really. In a club that's playing well, he's ticking well, and we dominate the ball if he's on the case.
Yeah, so somebody who might get a bit of interest higher up the pyramid.
Yeah, you think so?
So you've also signed Joe Snowden from Leeds. He's got a mountain to climb to get.
There's so many. Yeah, there's been so many gags, especially with the clubs with his name. He's a number 10 attacking midfielder, but he can obviously play in a sort of, if you're playing a 3, he can play in that like wide role as well. He played a lot in that Leeds team that won the National League Cup last year. He's not really played any. This is his first venture into men's football, and you have to wait and see on him. You don't know with these type of players, do you? But it's all part and parcel of the fun of League Two, isn't it? You always need to try and dig out these future crop players. He's someone that signed it's only a year deal, so rather than the 2 years, which is all the other planings. They give him better. He signed a 2-year deal. So I think there's a let's see how you get on, and then we'll see if he give you another year or not.
Partly let's see how you get on from a club's point of view, but maybe from his point of view, he wants the option to make that next move if it goes well, so that there could be that side as well. You also got James Ball from Wimbledon. I do seem to see this compulsion from Swindon to sign sort of squad players from teams that have been promoted the year before. So you did sign Ollie Clark after he'd been promoted with Mansfield. James Ball with Wimbledon. It does feel like it's something you like to do, sign players who maybe aren't going to be used in League One by a team that's just got promoted, but might be able to do a job for yourselves.
Yeah, I think that when he signed him, I personally not really heard of him before. So you do what you always do with that, is you type in their name onto Twitter, the club you just sold them from, you read the notes, and its release is just full of compliments from Wimbledon fans, just saying how great he is. He's very much in the Ollie Clark kind of mould, where I think they played him more as defender last season. I think the Wimbledon fans called him the League Two Maldini. I'd love a bit of that if that's the case, but that's what they tagged him. And I don't see Maldini as a left back that could play centre back in my day, but we'll see. He's more of a central defensive midfielder, from what I gather. A tough tackling player that can be quite versatile, but he's this sort of reliable 8 out of 10, throw your hat on. You know, he'll work his socks off for your team type player that tends to be a fan's fave, which is the same as Ollie Clark. Ollie Clark, who has struggled to play 2 games in a week at Swindon. I think that was the case at Mansfield as well. So maybe they could work in tandem, them two. I think Swindon, again, were so much better with Ollie Clark in the team. And Ollie Clark as well filled in the back 3 when we were a bit short and did an excellent job in doing that. Okay. And I think James Ball will probably be looking to do that as well. If he's done superbly at Wimbledon and did a job there, then if he can do that at Swindon as well, then kudos. That's pretty brilliant. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the signing of James Ball. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of, I want to touch on the youth at Swindon, actually, because I think when I spoke to you last summer, the youth team had just won the, they'd certainly done very well in the FA Youth Cup or something.
Yeah, got to the quarterfinals.
Got to the quarterfinals, thank you. Is there a feeling that the Healthy Academy, with the emergence of players like Joel McGregor, is in a pretty strong place?
Yes, currently you've got Archie McCormick. There's a couple of others that are knocking on the door. Archie McCormack played against your team, Birmingham City, in the Bristol Street Motors Cup. He played really quite well there against a decent. I think he had Lucas Jukovic and Alfie May against him, and I think he did really quite well. So there's another one that's on the ranks that I think might make a few games this season. Obviously, you got Joel McGregor. You had what's his name? The lad we sold to Middlesbrough as well last year.
Sorry, Mitchell and Brown are the names that I've got down in midfield.
Yeah, Jackson Brown is. Jackson Brown is another one that's coming through. He'll probably spend most of the season on loan. He got a dip into the first team last season after being really successful on loan to a non-league club whose name I can't quite remember, but he didn't last long. He got shipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Hungerford, and he got shipped off. There's the other guy that you mentioned. I think he was alone at Hereford. We got him actually last summer. He wasn't one of the youth, but I don't think he's fancied too much from Holloway. I think he's one of them. Holloway might like to move on, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think the main one Swindon fans like and excited about is Botan Amin, who he's the one that scored the 2 goals against Man United in the FA Youth Cup to knock them out. And he broke into the first team in the Bristol Street Motors against Bristol Rovers and scored in that game. He came off the bench to really make his EFL debut against Doncaster away towards the back end of last season, turned the game on its head, got us an assist and a pre-assist, scored his first goal against Grimsby, and he's sort of an outside, played outside left or outside right, really tricky player. He just likes to run on the ball. Obviously, you're never fearless at that age. I think Brad Halliday, who I rate probably one of the best right backs in the league last season, gave him a torrid time, put on his backside a number of times, and he was a key part of us winning, putting 5 past Bradford that day in that 5-4 victory. Fans adore Botan, but he's still on one of these youth contracts. He's only just turned 18 the other week. And there's a lot of clubs interested. I think Norwich is one, and there's another club higher end that are looking at putting some sort of fee together. If the clubs can agree a fee rather than go to a tribunal and wait 12 months for that sort of thing to happen, I think that'd be great. But I think Holloway met up with his mum and dad, did everything he could do. What that lad needs is first team football and regular first team football, League Two. Then we'll let him go, sign a deal. But I think his agent's trying to push him a big money move or a decent move as they do. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But he's still not signed a fresh contract. So I personally think that a move is on the cards.
Yeah, you know what, Ben, I in the mid 2010s when you had a really exciting young team and developed a lot of players, I for me that's the kind of model that I would like to see Swindon move towards, and I think you might be able to persuade somebody like Botan Amin to sort of grow with the club for a couple of years and do something with the first team before moving on. And that's what you'd want, but it doesn't always work out like that. But I would sort of encourage the club to kind of give opportunities to some of these young players.
Well, that's exactly, if you look at McGregor right now, at the age of 19, 50 odd games behind his back, EFL games behind his back, I'd imagine sooner or later he's going to get his move ahead to higher levels if we don't go up this season. The age of 18 and just turned 18 as well, really exciting player. He's caught the eye of a lot of people towards the back end of last season. He's started off like a rocket. What the lad needs is regular football at a team that plays football that fits him. He could go on loan to a Norwich, sit in their academy for a little bit and then get loaned out, but he could get loaned out to a team struggling in League One, which probably wouldn't fit him quite so well, and then he could just suddenly disappear. So ideally in a perfect world he hangs around, but again, he's probably not on a lot. His new deal's probably not going to be on that much either. If he can get that doubled, tripled at some other club and taken on there, and his agent's sort of in their ear. It's football, isn't it? Modern football.
Yeah, how it goes sometimes. So Paul Glatzel, I know I spoke to my co-host on the podcast, Ben Jones, who's a Tranmere Rovers fan, says Paul Glatzel, sorry, if you can get him fit and fresh for a full season, he can be the best player in the division. I'm wondering if you saw shades of that last season, and happy that he's staying on.
Yeah, well, he's not had a spell out of injured, touch wood, since he signed 18 months ago. He's over that, to be quite honest. He rarely gets it. I think any injuries he's had is impact injuries. So his horrific time that he had at Liverpool and Tranmere looked to be behind him, which I'm over the moon for. He plays more of a deeper role again at Swindon because we play a striker, Harry Smith up front, and then 3 behind him. And he plays one of the players that are behind him. So it's a wee bit deeper. So he's more of the assister and picking up the balls from deep and then charging forward and playing a little bit out wide. So his goal return is probably not quite as what he thought it'd be when he was an outright number 9. But he's a committed player. He's popular with the fans. He's very, very skillful. His finishing is sometimes could be a little bit better than he is, but if it was a little bit better, again, playing at a higher level than League Two. But he's still quite young. And I'm really pleased last year he got the amount of football that he did because, as you mentioned, he had a horrific time with injuries, and he's a hard worker, and he's a good player, and he's popular with Holloway. At one stage, it looked like he was on his way out because he was on the bench regularly, but then Holloway found a position for him that that fitted and suited, which is that little bit deeper. But he's playing well at the minute, so I'm chuffed that he got an extension.
Great stuff. So that target man position, then Harry Smith had an excellent season last year. He's an absolute beast, isn't he, from cross into the box?
Everything defensive. Like there was times last season because we were a little bit short at the back, where Holloway would just stick him at the back and he'll just win headers. Literally like an old school centre number 9 we used to be back in the day, where you could stick at the back and they still do a job, but he'll just head the ball and clear the ball. And that's just what he does.
Steve Walsh, who Leicester used to have.
Exactly. Yeah, Steve Walsh type at Leicester. Yeah. But he is master of the dark arts as well. He loves to wind up. He's got a bit of a temper on him, which Holloway has curved a little bit. I think he got 10 bookings and 1 sending off last year. Now, I think to Swindon fans, that was surprised that it was so low because he gets himself in trouble. There's lots of little off the ball incidents when he's wrestling with her. He loves a good battle. I remember there's a Cheltenham centre back, Stubbs, who's a brute of a centre back. And I love watching that battle between Harry Smith and Stubbs. That was superb to watch because there were 2 old school players just having it out and really enjoying it. At full time, they just sort of like gave each other a hug and see the respect in them because they were just bumped and bruises and bouncing off each other. And it's really, really good to watch. I loved it. And I think Harry Smith is that. You go back, the old Duncan Ferguson type. You go back a few pages and that's what he does. And he's actually better with his feet than people give credit for. He's the first player on the team sheet. I love him. The news of that, he gave an interview going he can't see himself playing anywhere else right now. And to be fair, he is a journeyman. He's gone from club to club to club every couple of years. And I think at Swindon, he's popular. I think he's found himself a home. I think he's 28 now. So I hope the club don't give him that 2-year deal that's been mentioned. And he can be settled here. And, he's this type of player, he's not relying on pace. He can go on, he's 28, but he can still go on for 6-7 years, can't he? He's that type of, he's that type of forward, isn't he? So I think defensively, he's vital. Set pieces going forward, he's vital of everything. The link-up play, there's goal scoring, the shithousery that comes with him as well. That just being absolute nuisance. I couldn't think of a worse player to play against if you're a 20-year-old loanee from Palace. Making your way into football, and you've got Harry Smith who's just grinning at you, just giving you an hell of a game.
Yeah, lots of clubs recruit defenders from Premier League under-21 setups because they can play it from the back and they play a certain style, but then they're not going to be used to dealing with somebody like Harry Smith. So that's clearly a real strength that you've got there. I suppose it's also going to make recruiting another striker, because at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, Harry Smith's the only out-and-out centre forward that you've got. Then, do you find another profiler striker, maybe somebody who's quick and gets in beyond to sort of be part of the squad?
So I would like mine someone like Tyree Simpson type, another player that can play that sort of holding role, but also has got a bit of pace and can run at players. I quite like Tyree Swings at Swindon, and I see he's doing the rounds again, and he's without a club at the minute. I like someone who can compete and wouldn't mind someone to give Harry Smith competition for his place to keep him on his toes. But whether we have to go into the loan market for that, because they'll probably, Harry Smith is our main guy, and we do pay that one up front, so he's not going to start all the time. If we're chasing games, obviously you have Smith up front with someone. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think we do need someone else, because when Harry Smith's not playing, we're going to notice it, because that's just a huge part of the way we play and how we play. And if we have got that big, dirty, great nine missing, I think we lose that edge. So he's something that, it's something where we need to look for, whether we go for someone on loan or we go for an experienced perm or someone who's towards the back end of their career. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking from a best 11 at the moment, what I've got down is, I think Connor Ripley, Will Wright, Joel McGregor, Gavin Kilkenny, James Ball, Paul Glatzel, Tom Nicholls, and Harry Smith are all players that you would be absolutely more than happy to have in the best 11. So I think you're looking at possibly another 3 signings that really move the needle in terms of the best 11, in terms of that right centre back spot, possibly the left centre back spot, and left wing back. In terms of players that you would think can make a difference. But you look actually quite close when talking it through with you.
Yeah, no, it's I think the important thing is continuity. The clubs that do tend to do well are clubs that don't have continual change. I think it's going to take a few months for MK Dons going to be brilliant this season, but I think it's going to might take a month or two for them to get into line. And I'd like to play MK Dons early rather than November, when they're in full swing. And I think you look at clubs that have done well in the past, and they're clubs that like keep the core together. And I think that will help us next season going forward. That the team that did well under Holloway last season will still do hopefully do well under Holloway this season. But that remains to be seen.
Expectations for this season then, Ben? I think normally Swindon Town in League 2, the expectation is always promotion, because it's a club that is far too big for this level. At the same time, I imagine that's tempered a little bit by the ownership situation and the fact that that things aren't ideal behind the scenes. So where do you sort of stand on what you're expecting?
I think it's realistic for Swindon fans. The expectation will be promotion. The demand will be promotion. And all the players will talk about getting out of this league. Reality, I think that we should be challenging for a top 7 position. If all goes well, we should be in the conversation for a top 7. There is a small chance that maybe we could be in the hat for a top 3, but then the rest of this summer will need to go fantastically, and January would need to also go fantastically. But there is a foundation there to do, really, really well. But some signings will hit, some signings won't. Some, we're going to go through poor spells. I think realistically, if you said you'll sneak 7th, I would take that right now. So I think in the conversation for playoffs, I think this year, I think an improvement on last season and in the conversation for playoffs, I think is a realistic shout for a Swindon fan. However, there's always a dark cloud whilst we've got this ownership above us. So I think it's cautiously optimistic. I've said that to you before,
You like the phrase.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I'm going to do my 1 to 24 predictions in late July. And one of my processes for this, Ben, is to basically mark each club out of 10, but on 14 different categories. I think determine how well they do. So what I'd like to do is throw a category at you, and you give me a number from 1 to 10.
Oh, all right, then go on in.
First one, ownership.
2.
Yeah. Infrastructure.
It's a bit wobbly at the minute. We're using a few at the back. 5.
You can include facilities and stadium along with recruitment and operational. I've kept it quite broad.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm going to go Seven, in between 6 and 7. 6, I think, is a bit pessimistic. 7's a bit optimistic. I'll go 6.
6
I'll
sounds
go
about
6.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Playing budget.
It's mid-table playing budget, isn't it, really? So, again, I'd say 5.
5 for playing budget. Management.
Management, I love him right now. So I'm going to go, I will go 7.
7. Okay. 7 for management. Goalkeeping position with Connor Ripley staying.
8, because I like him. I think he's a good level for this keeper.
Yeah, top keeper, top shot stopper for this level. Defense.
I still holds there 6.
6 for the defense. Midfield, including the wing back spot, so McGregor.
Yeah. It's pretty strong. I think that's our strongest suit as our midfield at the moment, because we've got attacking players, we've got defensive players, we've got battlers. It's so early as well to do that. We've got ball players. So I'd see right now, if you put every single team together,
If
what the
Kilkenny
squad's
stayed
got right
free.
now, it's quite up there. It's going to be up there because obviously teams aren't full yet. So I'm going to say 8 again for that. So I think we've got everything that we need in midfield.
8 for the midfield. Attack.
You've got, is that just outright strikers or just attacking
No, you
midfielders
can
as well?
include forward, so you might include.
Yeah, you include your Blackdoors, and so yeah. Okay, I would go. I love Harry Smith so much. Oh god, it's just going to sound so optimistic, but I'm going to go 8 again because I do like what the options that we've got. 7/8. I don't know if I should say 7, but
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, no, I will go.
There's not a huge.
I'm going to say.
Sorry, go on.
I said lack of numbers. I'll say 7 because I do love Harry Smith. I do like Glatzel. Drynan's going to sign again, but Drynan's been exceptional under Holloway in that sort of deeper role. But we do need more. That's a 7, but is an upper side of 7, so it could be 8 with another good signing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, on that theme, depth is the next one. Let's assume that Ian Rodgers is right that Swindon bring in another 6 or 7 players.
It's a depth.
Depth is the
depth. Oh, it's depth. Depth. Yeah. Well, strike forwards. We need some. We need a backup keeper. We need some defenders. I think we need 5. We'll get 5 loans. We'll sign another 2, 3 attack. Perms. Okay. We might let 1 or 2 go. So depth, I think, is for the time of year, 7. If it would start the season next week, it would be like 5. But because the time of the year, it's a 7.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Squad stability.
Good. I'd say that's an 8 because everyone's signing 2-year deals.
Yeah.
All the contract extensions are 2 years, and Holloway has made a mark of like this team I'm keeping together. So, and I don't think, other than Offerbore and Amin. Danny Butterworth's contracted. He's another good attacking player. He can also play on the left. I think. Everyone's on a couple of year deals, so I think stability is quite good. I'm going to say 8 there, and I don't think anyone who's contracted is going to leave without actually having a serious offer on the table. I think Holloway's got the range of who goes and who comes, and I don't think our better players are going to be off unless there's a deal on the table that Holloway can't refuse.
Growth potential. So players you think are going to be a lot better this season than they were last season.
Again, I'm going to say sort of 7. It's reasonably young. It's not an old squad. Holloway has got this mix of players that he likes. He likes a certain number of young players, experienced players, and elder players. And you got Minturn, who we think play regularly, will kick on this year. I think McGregor,
one who I think could go.
Oh, absolutely. We've got Botan Amin at the minute. At the moment, he's a Swindon Town player. Whether he stays a Swindon Town player or not, I don't know. He might do. But if Botan Amin stays, it's If Botanamine stays, it's an 8, but I doubt. If not, it's a 7. Can we go 7?
We'll go seven for now.
Yeah, 7 for now.
Okay. My next category is team spirit. Quite
Team
high
spirit,
with Ian Holloway side.
yeah, it's high. That again, that's definitely an 8. That's definitely an 8 because that's high. Everyone's staring. Everyone's signing contracts. Everyone's on football. they're all hanging around, and they're all done it early, and they're all saying what a great, lovely time they're all having, and how lovely Holloway is. So I'm guessing that's an 8. And also, back end of last season, you've got to be after the start of the season that you had, where everyone's down in the dumps. You were expecting us to go down. I was expecting us to go down. The fan base were expecting that this was it. And then the turnaround that happened, that's got to have a super lift among the players themselves. So I think there's a real unity at the minute. So I'm saying that's 7/8.
Lovely. Fitness.
Yeah. Holloway's mantra is fitness. If you listen to the stories that ex-players do have him and what he's called the run that he makes them go on, they're fit. They're really fit. And if they're not fit, they don't play. He's almost Lou Macari, Paolo Di Canio type. He's a drill sergeant. That's the way, best way to describe Holloway's man. He's a drill sergeant, and he'll have them running and running. So fitness is up there. So 7/8 for fitness.
Okay, 8 for fitness. Quality.
7, I'd say at the moment. 7 for what we have at the minute. I think we've got. I think again we're covered in a lot of areas. I think we've got technically some good players in the team. It needs more. It's not ready, season ready yet. So 7.
Okay, 7 for quality. All right, great. So just a few more final questions just to finish off. First one being, what's the biggest reason to believe in Swindon Town right now?
The biggest reason to believe in Swindon Town right now is 2025. 2025 so far has been one of the most enjoyable seasons I've had as a Swindon Town fan since Richie Wellens. I'm actually enjoying going to the County Ground. It's not just a toxic interest that I have with them, where I go and I just feel distraught and pain every time I watch them. It's a pleasure to watch the football we're playing. It's a pleasure to watch the attacking football. I think Holloway has got a system that works for him. He's got a team that believe in Holloway, and I'm excited to listen to him. His excitement, his almost, yeah. What's the word? When you catch something, it sort of rubs off all the players as well. His enthusiasm for the club itself. It's good. I like it, and at the moment, and it could go wrong. He went wrong at Grimsby. It's gone wrong at other clubs. It's at the moment he's really, really, really popular with the fan base, and I kind of like him. I've met him a couple of times, and he's as balmy as he is in real life as he is doing interviews, which is good. And he's got lots of time for the fans as well. If you talk to him, he's brilliant. Actually, a little story about that. Before every game, Swindon Town send so injured players or players that are not in first team duty to the Robins room, which is the Junior Robins fans room. So they all go down and they all sign photographs and have photos of the fans, which I think is a lovely touch. And there's one game where the players weren't there and Holloway was suspended, so he couldn't manage the game. So he came down himself and then spent time with all the kids, had them photos and everything. And that was like half an hour before the game started, and he didn't really need to do that. So he's really good like that. So that was good. That was great to see. So I think that builds the bond with the fans as well. And having a big West Country accent helps. So yeah, I think that I think
you not
that
get a bit of stick for being a Bristolian?
Well, when he first came, I actually had a joke with him, just going like, "You'd be all right in red because it's Bristol City," and he sort of gave me a smile. But yeah, no, I think the rivalry between Bristol Rovers and us is not as big as it is Bristol City. I don't know if it's the two Robins or something, but we've had some right humdingers. It might be a historical thing with Bristol City. Through the years, we've always been quite close together. Not now, unfortunately. But Bristol Rovers is sort of like a friendlier rivalry. There it is there, but it's not as intense and it's not as fierce as the others. I'm quite looking forward to it. I was quite pleased to see him go down. No offense to them, but it means that, it's a close game that I can look forward to. But there's not that much needle in between the two teams. It's a sort of friendly ride. Bristol City is the one that gets the blood going.
Do you know what, Ben? Your positivity on Swindon Town, you're kind of talking me. I went into this podcast feeling quite sceptical of Swindon Town, and you've talked me into them a little bit.
I will say this though, Gabe. You said that last year. But I naturally, I'm an optimistic fan, and I've trying to hold myself back. But it's really hard not to get excited, not to watch what we over the last 6 months. Over the last 6 months, we were top scorers in the league. We were second top scorers in the league behind Walsall overall, and we barely had a shot on target for the first half of the season. Our points per game over the second, I think, last 23 games, I think we'd have got something like 86 points if you doubled up the points. So we got 43 over the last half, and that's a top 3 finish. So when you're watching us every week and you're scoring, 4 or 5 goals away from home and at home, and you're watching this champagne football, and you're watching players enjoy themselves, playing with smiles and momentum of going like 4 or 5 wins on the spin and stuff, you can't, you just got to go, just keep this team together, just keep the momentum. And it looks like they're doing that. It's just, I wish we had different owners. If we had different owners and this same team and this momentum, I'd be going like, let's have a real crack at this league. Let's have a real crack at this league. But I don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
Clem Morfuni right now has been caught in Australia for winding up, for being a bit naughty in Australia. And I don't know. And I'm half looking to this going, I was talking to Dan Hunt of the Spirit 69 going, if he loses this court case, will he get his dictatorship disqualified like Di Redding? And he was like, no, because he's I think, I don't want to actually go into too details, but I think he wound up the company to save himself money by doing creditors out of. He wound the company up, which he'd done a lot of people out of money, and he did it for that reason. That is this. I think that is the reason why he's there, and I think he broke a few Aussie rules doing it. Now, I'm saying that's allegedly because that's my brief, loose understanding of. Don't hold me that will sue me, Clem Morfuni, please. I don't know if that's true. But I think that's the.
You've kind of answered my question, which was the biggest reason for doubt, and I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's the ownership and what surrounds it, and then there is a divide with the fan base because there's a fan base that just don't want to know about that nonsense, and we're doing quite well, and just leave Clem alone, and let's just get behind it.
Understandable because
I understand that too. Yeah,
you're not a business fan, so
they just turn up on Saturday and want to watch some good football, and just not nothing. They call us the Red Orange Hat Brigade, and it's there's a split. There is a split, which is a shame because there's the divide. I mean, I've always said a club always mirrors its ownership. How well it does is mirrors the ownership it's got.
In the end,
in the end,
have one-off great seasons under bad ownership. But I don't think you can make sustainable progress without the right leadership from the top.
Yeah, if we went up, when we got promoted under Lee Power the following season, and back in League One when Richie walked and the whole wheels came off, we went wrong. And there's the worry of that sort of thing happening. If we do have a remarkable season and momentum's taken us and we really do well, that might happen again. I don't know. I just hope that maybe the no vote will mean that Clem, that obviously is a sign of no confidence from the fans. Hopefully that might be the final push that makes him decide that enough.
Is there? I know you've got to leave at 1:45, so I'm mindful of time. But just is there a sort of contradiction in the sense that Swindon Town doing well actually strengthens rather than weakens Clem Morfuni's position in terms of holding on to the club, whereas if Swindon Town are doing badly, it would actually be likelier to force Clem Morfuni to sell because he would have less of a grounds to argue about how the team's results and this, that, and the other.
Well, in 2019. 1920, when the Richie Wellens season that was, that was called off towards the end, and we won the league. Lee Power put his hand in his pocket really properly for the first time, to give Richie Wellens a budget and the players that he needed to get out of the league, because he wanted to sell the club, but he wanted to sell the club at the price that he wanted to. And the reason that he threw his toys out and then pulled all budgets of everything in the second year, because there was injunctions in court that still prevented him making the sale that he wanted to do. And that was in March, towards the back end of that, when COVID was really kicking off. And I'm hoping that Clem Morfuni will get promotion, and Clem Morfuni is probably going to get a sale for something more or less that he wants, or something near the valuation that he wants, and then he can go, because the club do owe him 8 million quid or so, and he's going to want that back, isn't he? Which obviously wrapped up into the sale of the club. So that's my thought. Now, if it goes the other way and it goes badly, then it's just going to be another horrible season. That's just going to damage the club even further.
Yeah.
But if we have a good season, hopefully Clem does just go, because he can't enjoy it. He can't. This can't be fun for him. And it's costing him.
I hope for that reason that he doesn't bargain for a ridiculously high price that's way more than is realistic. And that's one thing that I worry. That's one thing that I do worry about, that he's just going to have the goalposts. Have the
keep moving them up. Keep moving them up. Yeah. That is that could possibly happen. I can't say that won't. It's all case right. One day it will sort itself out. The club will be here a lot longer than Clem Morfuni. It'll be a lot longer than you and I, hopefully. And this is just a chapter in the story of Swindon Town Football Club. And it's just hope it is a good ending.
That's what a great way to finish. Ben, thanks so much for joining us with your insight from the Fools Rush In podcast. Really appreciate you joining us. Thanks to everyone for watching at home. If you like what we do here at EFL Debate, you can get subscribed to us on YouTube and on Spotify. That would help us out an awful lot. And we'll see you again for another summer deep dive very soon.